And I was reading an article in a scrapbooking magazine about a contest where you design a page, and the page is designed after a certain theme. And the theme was, what do you wish for? And I think I read it like the next month, but people had submitted things. They're really nice pages, but the things that they had wished for was kind of like pie in the sky kind of stuff, like I wish for wonderful dreams for my child, and wealth and ambition and that sort of thing. So I got to thinking about, well, what do I really wish for? And in contemplating that, I thought back to, I had a time of prayer in the car. And during that time, the question came to me, and I think it was God speaking to me. And the question came, if you had a choice between choosing that I would cure your son's autism, and you would no longer have that dependence on me that I have established, or keeping Nick's autism and keeping that dependence, what would you wish for? And that was a really hard thing to answer. And between those two things, this is what I came up with when I wrote. I wish I could grow in servanthood without disability. But without disability, I fear my understanding of servanthood would not be as strong. Before my son's disability, I thought acts of service were my gift. Now I realize that servanthood really means, after wiping my child's bottom, cleaning up his messes, cutting his food, and helping him with basic things that his peers have long been able to do. That's servanthood. There are no thank you notes. The tasks are unseen to most of the world, and at times feel that cannot be done one more time. In that time, God has said, this is where servanthood starts. I wish my patience would grow without disability. But without disability, I fear my patience would not be as strong. Before disability, I thought I was reasonably patient, but special needs became the brutal lesson on how much more I had to learn. The best practice comes from the day-to-day challenges, the teaching over and over and over again of a basic skill that my disabled child is not getting, and learning to wait on God's timing, a timing very different than mine. I wish my compassion could grow without disability, but without disability, I fear my compassion would not be as strong. With my child's disability, my radar has widened. I now notice other people with disabilities. My landscape has not broadened not only to others with special needs, but also to those who are living with broken dreams, not as visible as the disability, but evoke that internal cry of, God, this is not the life I wanted. I never saw those people before. I wish my appreciation of God's grace could deepen without disability, but I fear without disability, my appreciation of God's grace would not be as strong. When I have screamed to God about the difficulty of special needs, he's never fought back. Instead, he's quieted me with his answer. Sometimes it comes right away, and other times it takes longer. When I have complained to God about scraping my son's smeared feces off the wall, he's replied with, your sin was more repulsive, and I redeemed you. I wish I could grow in my love for the Word without disability, but without disability, I fear my love for God's Word would not be as strong. I quickly become dissatisfied with hope placed in treatments, medications, and therapies that might improve my child. While they help, disability burns up so much energy that I become hungry for the only thing that will satisfy and protect me from the lies of the enemy, God's Word. And like real food, I've learned that I need to take the time to sit down and eat. I wish I could grow in contentment without disability, but without disability, I fear I would not be as content. Before special needs, contentment was in the things like the certain number of kids I wanted, health, a promising future, and the status quo of Christian family. When special needs arrived, I learned that my foundation of contentment was false security. My child's disability has taught and continues to teach me that I don't need to chase after things that will never be and will never satisfy. I wish I could grow my understanding of blessing without disability. But without disability, I fear I will never understand blessing. Before disability, I assumed blessings were the good things that happened to me. Now I know blessing is more than that. It's a promise that God sees me through the hard times, whether I feel it or not, and that more of His likeness is born in me. I wish I could grow my understanding of God's love for me without disability, but without disability, I fear I wouldn't know as much of God's love. Before special needs, God's love for me was a fact. Now, through the exaggerated needs of my child, I see my own needs for God's love, and my response to my child illustrates God's loving response to me. I wish I could grow in my worship without disability, but without disability, I fear I couldn't worship as much. Before special needs, I mostly sought God's hands by seeking the things I needed. Now I do more seeking of God's face, worshiping His attributes. I'm really realizing it's God Himself and worship of Him that satisfies my longing and keeps me focused on Him. I wish my joy could grow without disability, but I fear that without disability, my joy would not grow. Before special needs, I had happiness. That feeling was dependent on things going well. Now I have gotten to know joy better, that satisfaction that comes from God. I wish I could find healing without disability, but I fear that without disability, I would not heal. Having a child with special needs while carrying old wounds is like a chair with a broken leg trying to hold weight. Carrying a burden shows me what needs healing in my life, and that healing sets me free. I wish I could deepen my eternal perspective without disability, but without disability, I fear I would lose that eternal perspective. Before special needs, my satisfaction came from the here and now. Now I long for the day of heaven, where I can have my first conversation with my nonverbal child, where no therapies or adaptive equipment will be needed, and where my own spiritual disabilities will be healed. Servanthood, patience, compassion, appreciation of God's grace, love for God's word, contentment, blessing, knowing God's love, worship, joy, healing, and eternal perspective. These are just some of the things I could have missed without disability.